This is the Cholo News Report for Saturday 22 December 2018. 5 people are killed and dozens injured when a train slammed into a bus carrying school students in Nis, Serbia. Dozens of people were injured and 2 teenagers were fighting for their lives after the accident, which happened early on Friday near the city of Nis. All the casualties in Friday's accident were reportedly on board the bus, which was left twisted and wrecked following the impact at the railway crossing. Serbian Health Minister Zlata Balonka said 13 of the injured were in a critical condition, including 8 teenagers. U.S. President Donald Trump signs the First Step Act, a bipartisan prison and sentencing reform bill, into law. The result of coalition building in a partisan political climate, First Step earned support from politicians as ideologically diverse as Senators Kamala Harris and Ted Cruz, and from advocacy groups including the American Civil Liberties Union and the Fraternal Order of Police. In exchange, progressive reformers had to accept a number of changes, to which prisoners will be eligible for benefits under the Act, based on the crime for which they were convicted. A Canadian judge denies former Guantanamo Bay detainee Omar Khadr's request for relaxed bail conditions and a Canadian passport. He pleaded guilty in 2010 to charges that included murder, and was sentenced to 8 years plus the decade he had already spent in custody at the American prison. He returned to Canada from Guantanamo Bay 2 years later to serve the remainder of his sentence, and was released in May 2015, pending an appeal of his guilty plea, which he said was made under duress. Khad, who is now 32, wanted and supervised conversations with his sister and a Canadian passport, so that he could make a pilgrimage to Mecca in Saudi Arabia. He can only talk under supervision to his sister Zainab, who has spoken in favor of Al-Qaeda, and was investigated in Canada more than a decade ago, for helping the terrorist network. Whitling said his client has lived quietly for years, is happily married, follows bail conditions to the letter and poses no threat. In support of the application to ease bail conditions, Whitling submitted a letter from Brooklyn, NY, psychologist Catherine Porterfield. The U.S. Congress adjourns for the night, before reaching a new budget agreement, essentially guaranteeing a partial federal government shutdown that will begin at 12 a.m. EST. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, DN.Y, countered that Democrats had already offered 3 proposals to keep the government funded, including one that passed the upper chamber on Wednesday.